Otter Tail Telecom for hosting this program. I'm Shannon Terry, the Public Information Officer for Otter Tail County, and we appreciate you viewing this show. We hope that this is an opportunity for you to gain information about Otter Tail County services, and if you have any questions or concerns, to please give us a call, stop by, or visit our website. Today, we have Patrick Walesko. He is the Emergency Manager for Otter Tail County. Welcome, Patrick.
Hey Shannon, it's good to be here.
Thank you. Could you just tell us a little bit about your role in Otter Tail County?
Sure. So I'm the Emergency Management Director for the county, which means that my role is to help prepare our communities, our businesses, and in particular our residents for any unfortunate or unforeseen events, sometimes what we refer to as an emergency or a disaster. All the way from preventing things that we know we can prevent to looking at response and recovery and helping support those systems and those procedures that are in place across the county.
Well, that's very reassuring. My understanding of emergency management is that you are preparing with your partners and that you're always constantly preparing in case disaster strikes, and that I should be connected, I should stay informed. But could you describe ways that all of us could be connected and really stay informed?
Sure. I'm glad you mentioned that we are constantly preparing. Fortunately, we're not always in a condition of emergency or disaster. So we have time to put measures in place and be prepared and kind of heighten our readiness. There are two things that we really work with the communities and residents on in particular. And those two things are for them to stay informed and be prepared. They've kind of become our tagline, if you will, from the standpoint that the first and most important step is to be informed. Know what's happening on a daily basis, know what's going on within your community. Every morning when you wake up, watch TV, listen to the radio, have a conversation with your neighbor to find out what's going on in the area and what you should be aware of. That's one of the biggest things, is to always be in the know, so that you have some understanding of potential hazards that might come up during that day, or be aware of other threats that might exist within the community. The second thing that we look at is to be prepared. And being prepared doesn't always mean, while we may encourage kits and plans and all of these physical items, it's just being mentally and planning wise, thinking about what you might do in times of an emergency. And so just kind of keeping those two things in mind and taking steps to be prepared. Our first responders are going to be there to help support when they can, but it's important that our residents take steps to be prepared themselves so they can weather the situation until help does arrive.
So you're Otter Tail County's Emergency Management
Correct.
Director, and we've talked about that you have partners. You're not alone in this, but could you really describe exactly what Otter Tail County's role is?
Sure.
And what services that Otter Tail County provides?
Right. So Otter Tail County is a countywide coordinator of emergency preparedness and response coordination. As you noted, there are kind of counterparts that I have within many of our communities who are working at things through on a local level, but we help support them on a daily basis in terms of providing information and education and training. Oftentimes we'll engage them in exercises to actually practice emergency plans, to kind of put some scenarios to these potential hazards and practice our response mechanisms. We're constantly looking at public education and how we can share information with our businesses and our communities and our residents in particular on steps that they can take. One of the other things that we do, and probably one of the most popular services that residents may be familiar with, is our countywide Code Red emergency notification system. Our most popular use of that system has been our automated weather warnings, and so people can be alerted to severe thunderstorms, tornado warnings, things of that nature. But it's also a system that allows our local public safety officials to use the system to alert residents, neighborhoods, the whole community for any other type of emergency that they need to be notified for. So it's got a dual purpose, and as of today we have roughly about 27,000 people who have signed up for that system. So it's been a great resource and service that we're able to provide.
Thank you. So I'm registered for Code Red. I also have an emergency radio. What else can I do and others do to be prepared, to feel that we're prepared, to be prepared.
Right. So I'm glad to hear that you're signed up for Code Red, and we certainly encourage everyone to do that. One of the things that we really encourage people to do is to look at life safety skills or life-saving skills.
Oh, sure.
Whether that's life safety for yourself or if that is life safety for your neighbors or your family. So there are a couple of steps that we encourage people to take a look at. And the first two are similar. The first one being we encourage people to know how to shut off their gas.
Oh, yes.
If they have gas through lines or a tank, to know how to shut that off. The system might be damaged in an emergency or disaster, so it's important to secure that source so that it doesn't cause any undue harm. The second thing would be to learn how to shut off your power, electricity. Again, similar conditions in which having electricity open and available might cause some additional harm. And so we encourage people to know how to shut that off just to secure it and make sure that it's going to be all right. Another step that we look at is to have a communications plan. We're so reliant on our cell phones these days, so oftentimes what we notice is people don't remember phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So we really encourage people to write down those phone numbers, have them with them, stick in their purse or billfold or something so that you always have those. In addition to the numbers, we encourage people to have a thought or a plan in mind as to who they're going to contact, where they're all going to meet, and what their overall intentions or plan might be when they do need to reconnect or ensure everyone is safe following that disaster. So kind of having that intention as to here's what I think I'm going to be doing, here's at least what I hope to be doing in terms of communicating with others. One of the other things that we look at is insurance. It's a good lifesaver from the standpoint of ensuring that your possessions, your home, business are all safe, and that you will have some resources at your disposal following a disaster to make sure that you can restore yourself, restore your home or your business. One of the other pieces that we like to look at is if businesses and individuals can put together a little bit of a side pot of money, an emergency fund. We know that with invoices and bills and costs of daily living, that might be a little bit of a challenge, but even just setting aside a few dollars every week, every month, will help ensure that you have some financial resources available to you if you should ever need them. One of the other things that we look at is having your pets. We know pets are family,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really important. From an emergency response standpoint, honestly, we've had conditions and we know in which times in which people will not evacuate with their pets. So we want to bring them with, but that's going to mean that we need people to have a plan, have supplies for their pets, know what they're going to do with their pet when they do evacuate. So that's another important piece. We don't want to forget about our pets, and they're an important part of response as well. Look at your evacuation routes, whether it's from your home, from church, school, or work. Know where you're going and how you're going to get there, and what you might do if the route is blocked. Okay? It's another big step. While directions and instructions will be provided on official routes, always have that situational awareness and know what your options are. It's all about those options. In case something goes awry, you're not stumbling to come up with another plan. And the last step is to look at developing and learning some new skills as it relates to life safety. So our primary examples there might be to learn CPR or first aid skills, how to use what we call an AED, an automated external defibrillator, so that you can be a part of the response and you can provide those life-saving skills to others. A lot of these opportunities are available throughout our communities, whether it's through a hospital, ambulance services, first responders, fire and police departments often provide these. So really encourage people to develop those skills that might come in handy post-disaster.
So listening to you, I thought, oh, I am pretty prepared, but I don't know how to shut off my gas. So that was a great tip. In my emergency kit, I forgot that I'm going to need cat food and I'm going to need other things for my pet. So really we have to think of a lot of these other areas.
Right.
And we have to, again, really be prepared in areas that we didn't even think about. So thank you for sharing all of those tips. We hope that we don't ever experience a disaster.
Right.
But what are some of the first steps that people could take in Otter Tail County if a disaster would strike?
Sure. I think one of the most important steps actually happens before. And that's,
Sure.
again, kind of going back to the idea that people need to be aware of what's going on within the community. Certainly one of our biggest hazards is weather. But that's an easy one to be aware of. And then to take precautions in terms of, are they out traveling? Do they have raincoats and umbrellas and things of that nature? Do what you can to prevent yourself from being impacted. We can't prevent weather, but there are certain things that we can do to lessen or eliminate the impact that it has on us. So that's the biggest thing. Post-disaster, really the first and most important thing is to make sure that you and your family or those around you are safe. Are you injured? Are you ill? Has some adverse effect been imposed upon you based upon that disaster? And to take care of that first. You can't necessarily help yourself or others or your community unless you yourself are safe. So if you are injured, to call 911. Responders are there. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365 service. We want people to call if they need help. That's one of the biggest things, is to make sure that emergency responders are coming out to your location. And the second thing would be, again, to look at your utilities, that gas, electricity, water, other things like that, to make sure that, to look at those systems, to make sure they haven't been impacted. Because those too can cause secondary impacts from a disaster. So when you find damage or unsure about the condition of those systems, make sure that you reach out to your utility providers to have those taken care of. So those are the really two biggest phases, is before, do what you can to prevent it, but then after the fact, look out first and foremost for those safety measures. Everything beyond that, there will be guidance and instruction and assistance through our first responders on providing you some thoughts about moving forward. But it's always about that life safety first.
So when people are going to make a call, when would Otter Tail County kind of step in the process if unfortunately a disaster would strike?
Sure. Well, honestly, it's right away. Although our cities have many resources and capabilities, we're always looking out for how we might be able to assist and to help coordinate. From the standpoint of emergency management at the county level, this is what I do 40 hours a week. And so from a certain perspective, a lot of our public safety officials don't have that luxury. So I'm able to come in, and the county in general is able to come in and help support their efforts and to kind of backfill some of the things that they need help with. So we're going to be alerted right away to those incidents. A couple things that the county will also do is help in evacuations, sheltering. But one of the most important and biggest assets is after the fact, in helping communities recover and get back up on their feet, and then help them apply for and seek disaster aid. So bringing in those financial resources to help the community get back up on its feet. Those are the big things that the county will do, and we'll get involved right away.
Thank you. So if people would like to have more information about emergency management services in Otter Tail County, where could they go?
Sure. So certainly as it applies to so many topics, there are a lot of resources on the websites and internet sources. Whether it's each community has a homepage, they can certainly reach out to that in some cases, and a lot of those sites link to the county page, and where we have a lot of broad resources. There's also an excellent resource called ready.gov. It's a federal site, but it provides kind of what I call the 101 to emergency preparedness. I am always available. If people want to give me a call, I'm happy to help them out. But what we might actually end up doing, and we really encourage people to do to start with, is to not be afraid to reach out to their fire, their police, or the local ambulance service for guidance and instruction, because they're the ones who are going to be able to provide information specific to that community.
Oh, sure. And what about if someone would like to sign up for Code Red? Where could they go to do that?
Sure. The best place, if they want to do it themselves and take care of it on their own, would be to go to the county homepage. It's listed right there. There's a link with the logo to Code Red that will help you get signed up. If you prefer to kind of interact and do it over the phone, if you'd like to give me a call, you can always do that as well. It takes less than 5 minutes to get you signed up, whether on the site or by calling in. And so our information is out there, and again, just go to the county website or give the county a call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for being here and for this very helpful information. Thank you, Otter Tail Telecom, for hosting this program, and thank you, viewers. Otter Tail County, live your best life here.